Hey everybody, my name's Parker, I'm with Game Nerdz, and in today's beginner's guide, we lift the veil off the void by learning the fundamentals of Sorcery Contested Realm. The mechanics and intricacies of the game are jam-packed with narrative-driven strategic elements, and in today's video, I'll be covering the basics necessary to get you started. In Sorcery, you and your opponent go head-to-head in a fight to claim dominion over the realm, which is portrayed by a massive 5x4 playmat. Each game consists of 2 players and their chosen avatars. Each avatar beckons the use of 4 familiar elements to aid them in battle. The different types of elements are fire, earth, water, and air. Each avatar has a unique playstyle and different sets of strengths, but all avatars have a name, located in the top center section of the card. Every avatar has a starting life total, located in the top left, and a power rating, located in the top right. This number shows how hard they hit and their defensive value during battle. Lastly, every avatar has a central text box that describes their abilities. So how does this whole thing play out? Well, once avatars have been chosen, each player composes 2 decks. A spellbook deck consisting of at least 40 cards, and an atlas deck made up of at least 20 sight cards. Before we get too far ahead, let's break down how both decks can function throughout the game and what each type of card is capable of. Let's start with the atlas deck. For today's video, we'll be taking a look at the Spark Mage deck and Geomancer deck from the 4 elements pre-constructed deck box. Sights are the way your avatar and minions safely traverse the blank spaces, known as the void, in the realm. These sights are kept separately from your spells because rather than offering attack or defensive properties, they provide you mana. Each sight under your control will provide you with 1 mana, unless it or another condition states otherwise. Mana is an important resource that you'll use to play cards during your turn. Alongside the mana they provide, most sights also have elemental symbols that increase your elemental affinity. You'll harness this affinity to use spells and abilities and can be viewed as an additional cost for many of your cards to be played. For example, if you have 1 simple village on the realm, you have 1 mana and 1 earth affinity at your disposal. Something to note is that mana is consumed throughout your turn as you play cards, but elemental affinity just checks to see if you have the proper amount and isn't consumed like mana. Lastly, sights can become the target of an enemy attack, which will cause your avatar to lose life equal to the value of the attack. For this reason, it's always best to keep your sights well defended by minions. Similar to other trading card games, Sorcery employs the use of different types of fantasy-driven elements when it comes to deck building. When composing your spellbook deck, you'll be choosing between a variety of different types of spells. These different types are minions, artifacts, auras, and magics. Let's take a closer look at how each of these can help you conquer the realm. Minions are your strongest allies because they're the ones you'll be dropping directly into battle to fight alongside you. Each minion's name can be found in the top center of the card, and just to the left of that, you'll find its mana cost and elemental threshold required to play it. For example, if you wanted to play Autumn Unicorn, you would be required to have 3 mana, aka 3 sights, and 2 earth affinity under your control. To the right of the minion's name, you'll find its power rating. This number indicates how hard it can hit your opponent's avatar or minions. This is also the amount of damage it can take before dying and being sent to your cemetery. Simply put, if the minion receives damage equal to or in excess of this number during combat, it dies. All minions have a type line which describes key information, such as the card's rarity and subtypes. Rarity plays a major role in both sights and spells because this tells you how many copies of that card you can have in your deck. Each player may include up to 4 copies of any ordinary cards, up to 3 copies of any exceptional cards, up to 2 copies of any elite cards, and only 1 copy of any unique card in their deck. Lastly, each minion has a text box that describes their abilities. This is where you'll find further instruction on anything that can happen as you play the card, when the card attacks, or any other keywords. Magics are likely the second most common spell in your deck besides minions because they provide supplemental ways to deal damage to your opponent's avatar or minions. These can be anything from flaming projectiles, rolling boulders, or even provide life support in times of need. Auras are placed in the quadrant between 4 touching spaces in the realm. Once placed there, any space the aura is touching is considered to be affected by the spell and can cause tremendous issues for your opponent as they attempt to wander the realm. Artifacts can be anything from weapons, relics, or armor. These objects are unique to the game because they can be picked up by minions and avatars and carried around the realm. If the unit carrying the artifact were to be removed from the game, they drop the artifact and it can be picked up by any, yes, any other unit in the game, including your opponent's avatar or minions. As previously mentioned, the realm is composed of a 5x4 play area divided into 20 squares. At the start of the game, the realm is a void, so it's up to you and your opponent to fill these spaces with sites. The void is still considered a region and can be lethal for minions or avatars, so it's best to fill these spaces with sites as soon as possible. As well, certain types of magic or ranged attacks cannot exist in the void, so if you were to shoot a projectile in the direction of a void square, it would do nothing. Speaking of regions, there are many layers to the realm, and some minions can take advantage of them by using their abilities to traverse them. Altogether, there are 4 regions in the realm: the void, the surface, underground, and underwater. For context, Headless Haunt can navigate the void squares because he has Void Walk. The king of the realm, on the other hand, can only navigate on the surface because he lacks keywords like burrow or submerge. Cave trolls, however, can burrow, which allows them to navigate underground. Lastly, many water minions can traverse underwater due to their submerge keyword. When moving minions, your avatar, or even when rolling a boulder or shooting a projectile, you'll need to be aware of your surroundings. Taking a basic action with your avatar or minions, such as moving from one site to another, requires a basic knowledge of the keywords adjacent and nearby. Adjacent refers to the card's own square, and the squares that it shares a border with. These are also known as cardinal directions. Just think of it as north, south, east, and west. Standard minions and avatars without any special keywords can only navigate the realm in this manner. Nearby, on the other hand, refers to the card's own square, and all squares that surround it, including those diagonally. Minions with the keyword airborne can traverse the realm using the nearby function, making them a formidable force to deal with. Because the game mat can be quite large, you'll need to make sure you have plenty of room on the table for the realm. Once that's set up, players place their avatars on the squares in the middle of the bottom row, the ones closest to them. Next, both players shuffle their Atlas decks and Spellbook decks separately. Place both decks on your side of the realm, being sure to leave space for your cemetery. Deciding who goes first can be as simple as rolling a die to see who gets the higher number, or playing a friendly game of rock, paper, scissors. Once that's settled, each player draws 3 cards from their Atlas and 3 cards from their Spellbook. If either player wants to perform a mulligan, now is the time to do so. To take a mulligan, you may return any number of cards from your hand to the bottom of their respective decks in any order. Then, you must redraw the same number of cards you returned from each deck. Now you're ready to take the realm. Sorcery is played over a series of turns. Players take their turns, one at a time, following 3 phase sequences. The first phase is called the start phase, which is broken down into 3 steps. The first step of the start phase triggers abilities that happen at the start of the turn. For example, Headless Haunt says Void Walk. At the start of your turn, Headless Haunt teleports to the top of a random site or void. Step 2 is when you untap all of your cards in the realm, placing them right side up. This is also when your sites create their mana. The last step in the start phase is Step 3, which is when you'll draw a card from the top of either your Atlas deck or Spellbook deck. The choice is completely up to you. Although if you're the first player to take a turn in the game, you'll skip Step 3 of the start phase. Phase 2 is where the meat of competitive play begins to unfold. During this phase, units can cast spells and activate abilities. For example, units may move, attack, or interact with an artifact. You may take these actions as many times as you have resources to do so, and in any order you prefer. Any combination of these abilities will tap the unit and prevent it from performing another action until your next turn. During your first main phase, you must perform the basic action on your avatar by tapping it to place a site underneath it. This site provides your avatar a place to exist, as well as jumpstarts your mana and elemental threshold production. During subsequent main phases, if you want to play a site, you must do so by tapping and activating your avatar's basic ability. Each avatar can perform this action, as well as the ability to draw a card. Once you've chosen one of your avatar's basic abilities, it cannot be triggered again until the main phase on your next turn. Once you've established some sites, it's time to start occupying them with minions. There is no limit to how many minions can be on a site, but it is best to spread them out and make an attempt to reach your opponent. You can only summon minions atop any of the sites that you control, and they remain in the realm until something causes them to leave play. When a unit, such as a minion, comes under your control, it suffers from summoning sickness. Any unit that's suffering from summoning sickness can't be tapped during the same turn it was played. This includes things such as basic actions like moving, attacking, or activated tap abilities. While that is the case, minions with summoning sickness can defend and intercept incoming attacks. During your next turn, the summoning sickness subsides and your minions are now ready for battle. By default, units can move up to one space adjacent to their current location. Let's say, for example, that your Autumn Unicorn wants to move and attack a neighboring enemy Snow Leopard. The Autumn Unicorn would tap, move, and attack the enemy. To fight, they both strike each other simultaneously. When a unit strikes another, it deals damage equal to its power, which is located in the top right. In our example, Autumn Unicorn will strike the Snow Leopard for 4, and the Snow Leopard will strike the Autumn Unicorn for 2. Remember, this power level is also its defense level. This being the case, the Autumn Unicorn will kill the Snow Leopard, but not before it strikes the Unicorn for 2 damage on its way out. The Autumn Unicorn will remain at 2 power level until the end of the turn. In another example, let's assume our Snow Leopard has a friendly ally by the name of Highland Clansmen that want to step in and defend it. The opposing player can tap, move, and defend the Snow Leopard with any unit up to 1 step away. The Highland Clansmen force the attacking Autumn Unicorn to target it instead. Striking commences, and this time the Autumn Unicorn is down for the count. Fighting your opponent's minions is cool and all, but ultimately, you win the game by bringing your opponent's avatar's life to 0 and then dealing one final blow. Enemy sites can also become the target of an attack, and it will deal damage to the opposing avatar equal to the power level of the attacker. So when you see an enemy site unguarded, head there and punish them for lowering their defenses. The final phase of a turn is simply the end phase. All players remove damage counters from their minions, and all abilities that lasted until the end of your turn end here before passing the turn to your opponent. Be mindful of the fact that avatars do not remove damage counters similar to the way that their minions do, but there are plenty of cards in Sorcery that regain some of your lost life. As your avatar loses life, so does its grip and connection with the realm. When an avatar's life has been brought to 0, they are knocking on death's door and can no longer gain health from spells or abilities. The moment your avatar hits 0 life, your opponent can no longer attack you during that turn, though they may carry out any further actions such as summoning sites or minions before ultimately ending their turn. Once your opponent has their next turn, your safety is at severe risk because any single point of damage to your avatar will lose you the game. And that's it! These are the fundamentals required to get you started on your journey into the fantastic world of Sorcery Contested Realm. If you'd like to get your hands on the decks that were featured in today's video, you can find them over at GameNerds.com. You can find a link to those down in the description below. Also, we've put together an FAQ that covers some of the more intricate interactions of the game, and you can find the link to that down in the description as well. We're constantly adding tips to the FAQ, so if there's anything you have questions about, be sure to leave me a comment down below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave it a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. Once again, my name's Parker, and I'll see you next time.